All right, guys, and welcome to our latest episode of the Aftermath Podcast. I am your host, James Hoskins. Our co-host, Calvin Gale, skipped out of comp class, so that's why he's not here with us. So, yeah, I'm putting you on blast, on camera, in front of everyone. In my neck, my back, my spleen. Yeah, you chill right now. All right, so today's episode will be one that's kind of near and dear to my heart. A lot of times we talk about our student athletes, but we never talk about their actual support chain, right? And that's the parents. The parents are the ones who are responsible for getting them to training, to getting them to the competitions, for making sure that they're getting some kind of rest, eating properly, and all those other things. The other things is talking with our parents and finding out so they can tell us their perspective of what they've seen their student athlete receive or the benefits of doing jiu-jitsu, wrestling, or any other arts. So we're going to get into that. I'm going to start to my far left with the Marshes. If you introduce yourselves and your children.
I'm Cory Marsh. I'm the dad of Liam Marsh and Allie Marsh.
And I'm Theresa Marsh. I'm the mom. Same kids.
You, my dear.
Oh, I'm not a parent. I'm actually the kid. This is my dad. I'm Jada Hoskins.
And I'm O'dell Broom, and my grandson is Jonathan Williams.
And could you guys tell their ages for us, please?
Oh, yeah. Liam is 7 and Allie is 10.
And Jonathan is 13.
And I'm a 23-year-old teenager. No, I'm just kidding.
Very much so. Very much so. Help me. No, okay. All right, starting with basically something pretty simple. How long have your kids been training? Starting once again over here, and we'll work it back the other way.
They've been training for about a year and a half now. Mm-hmm. Both of them.
Yeah.
What brought you to get them started?
So I've always been, I watched UFC 1 when I was a kid, and I've watched every single one since. But more importantly, as a dad to a daughter, I can't be there to always protect her. And so it was important to me to give her the tools to be able to protect herself. And my son is just crazy, and he likes to just bowl over people. So it was mainly just about a self-defense thing, more so than anything.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. And O'Dell?
For us, it was a little different. My grandson, John, at the time, he was 7, and he had played soccer. He was horrible at soccer because he had no confidence whatsoever. It was just absolutely a super shy kid. So we enrolled him here. It was originally Gracie Barra that long ago, 5 years ago at 7, and he's now 13. He's been here 5 years. So we originally got him involved to develop his confidence. But over the years, he's developed his confidence, his skill, and he's competitive. It's been a wonderful thing for him and us.
And he's the nicest kid.
Yes, he's a sweet kid.
I love all their kids. They're leaders. And we'll get into some stories. Liam's one of my favorite little, motorboats. Jonathan, it's been a pleasure. He's been with us the longest of all the kids I've had. So I have a very special affinity for him to have watched where he's gone and his quiet leadership, something he gets from his grandfather, but watching him just grow into a young man and the role he takes on, and he takes it on humbly and accepts it. So it's amazing to watch the character that he has and watching him develop. So like I said, this is a very special one for me, and we've had a number of children and people roll through the program. So it's always been kind of different. So my student athlete, my daughter started, which surprised me. I tried to get into jiu-jitsu when she was about 11 or 12. And
No, he tried to bully me into jiu-jitsu. He did not. This was before he became this well-refined man, and he just beat me up. That's another thing. As a kid, and your parents do it, it's just child abuse. That is all.
Once you sign a waiver,
it's a waiver.
It's actually, you sign a waiver, you agree to come to class. We're just training at that point.
They sign it for you when you're under 18, so I don't know.
There's the nugget, parents. There's the nugget. All right, you should be training with your kid. Anyway, at first, so she didn't like it, and I didn't force it. I didn't make her stay in it. So she had got out. She was doing band and everything else, and she came in one day and was like, "Hey, me and my friend decided that we're gonna do band and wrestle." And I was like, "You're going into wrestling?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna become a wrestler." I was like, "Okay, we got a bunch of wrestlers at the gym. You come to the gym. You last for an hour with all these guys, and they sign off on it. I'll let you wrestle." And she came in, and she went with all of them. and they didn't take it easy on her, and they pushed her for an hour, and at the end of it, they all gave her a thumbs up, said they think she'd do pretty good. And tell them about how long you wrestled and how well you did.
I started in 2014. That was my first year. And I made it to state championship. I lost the final match, but I took second in state my first year. And then I've just fell in love with it because I do like to fight. So I've been off and on from 2014 until now, which is a very long career, but I'm still only just a 2-stripe blue belt. So, and I just got that, but it's off and on, and I do love it.
So she's being kind of humble. Every year she was a state qualifier. Did very well. Her first jiu-jitsu competition, she competed in both the teenage and the adult bracket, her first Naga. Went in, got 2 golds, a sword, a silver. Made me mad. Every time I turn around, she's coming back with a new trinket. And I'm just sitting there like my 2, and I was done. So she did very well. And then talking about your kids in competition. Go ahead. Let you guys.
Yeah. So one of the things that Cam talked about, like what we've seen in our kids, and competition to me has kind of really brought out the best in them and showed them a lot. And my favorite story to tell is, so Allie went to her first competition and she took gold for both gi and no gi, riding a pretty good high. The second one, she lost all matches. It was 2 on gi, 2 on no gi, and she was, mentally drained, devastated, emotional. I mean, it's such a hard loss in jiu-jitsu because it's just you. There's no teammates to blame or anything. But they ended up messing up the bracket. And so she had to get her gi back on after being done to go do another match. And when we told her, the look in her face was just like, I don't have it in me. But she put that gi on, she went out there, and she was almost beat the guy that ended up winning that division on the second bracket after all of that. And that was the thing that we sat down and showed her. Is like, that's the heart that you can't teach. You have it or you don't. You want it or you don't. And then the other part is Liam. He's just an animal, and he had some of that same kind of concept in the Naga we were with. Is we didn't realize he was sick. And he went out there and really pushed himself hard to the point where in the last match he actually threw up as he came off the mat. But I told him, like, that's your Allie moment where you just learned what you were made of because you weren't feeling good and you still went out there and pushed. But I feel we're running out of room to put medals and stuff. Like, you don't know where to hang them. They're just kind of lounging all over the place. But
well, the other part of Allie's competition is after we finished the competition, she cried after every match. We were worried about her. And so we went home and we kind of, we just asked her and Liam both, okay, so now we know how it feels to lose. Are we still interested in doing this, or do we want to just do it for fun? And they both looked at us and said, we want to go harder. And they've just really pushed. And every time, they're getting tired, we'll kind of remind them, like, you said you wanted to do this, and you committed to wanting to do it, and they go right back to it. Not that we have to that much, but it was a good, like, teachable moment with them to, like, test what's your resolve with this. What are you committed to? What do you want to do? And let them make that choice and then follow through with it.
For us and John, it's been a super learning thing for both of us as a parent, as a grandparent, and as him as an athlete. What I've watched him do is his confidence is amazing, and I've also learned that he can decipher defeat and victory by levels. When he gets overwhelmed and that kid is just much better than him, he used to get upset and whine about it, cry about it. But now he goes back like as an after-action review. Okay, I did this, I need to do that. He's become very much more mature and analytical about losing. And then when he wins, he takes it with a grain of salt because he knows next week there's another kid that's just as good or better, and it's nothing's permanent. And I like that because it's I'm like you guys. I took the individual sport because life's an individual thing. You get what you put in it. Yep. You're responsible for yourself, and but yet it's a team thing. We understand the team goal. We understand the team mission and the team support. I think that he grasped that concept really deeply. And then for me as a spectator driver, I just hope I get more money for wall space too.
It's just so. I know the feeling. This love her to death. This young lady has more medals than I do, and competed less. So those are the accolades I always tell her. And so here's the funny thing about us. We compete differently. I am very technical, analytical about my matches. One of us is just a savage. That's like, I gotta kill that person, and if they're coming and I don't like them or their family, and she's stalking the mats, getting into her headspace, and I'm like, you okay? You constipated? What's wrong? And she's like, I'm getting in my headspace, Dad. Leave me alone. I was like, oh, I'm sorry, because you look like you're in pain. She's like, no,
which is okay, because he's very much strategic. Like, I'm gonna go out and do this. I'm like, if they touch me, they have to die. But it's crazy because when he's on my sidelines, like, he's very much, like Coach. When he's on the sidelines, he is insane, like louder than my wrestling coaches, to the point where they had to be like, okay, say this. So like, even though he's not like that for his matches, when it came to me, he's very much in his own zone. So
hey. And I am, and we talk about that too, so we'll address that. I try to be not that parent, but especially when we were at state, it was hard, because I'm like, yo, the opening's right there, dude, go. And I'm looking at the coach like, tell it, and I'm like, oh, I might want to sit down. And I've had to tell parents, I'm like, hey, this is our job. Take a lap, leave the kid alone, let them do that. So it's kind of funny when I was in a situation where I had to reverse and it's like, hey, Coach, Dad, go sit your butt down and shut up and let the coaches do their job. And it happens. Like, we joke about it. Jonathan, when we're talking about students, like, so when Jonathan first started, and especially when they start young, like where Liam and them at, so at 7, 8, it's not so much about always the technique. It's if you're a stronger, faster kid, you're most likely going to win. Mm-hmm. So Jonathan, once he figured that out, coming out the gate, he was just beating all the kids because he's like, I'm faster, stronger, a little bit more athletic, boot-to-do, and racking up wins. He turned 9, and then it was a nightmare because now it evened out. And kids are strong, fast, but they're technical. They're doing techniques. And he's like, well, I can just, no, you can't. Listen to what I'm telling you. And it was so funny to watch him. It took a minute to get the adjustment because he started, and once again, they found, Professor YouTube. And he was all 10th planet, and he's trying to do rubber guard. Every time you turn around, Jonathan's throwing his, I'm like, Jonathan, put your leg down. And it's like, boop. Yeah. I'm like, okay. Yeah. I'm like, do you know why you got passed? He was better. No. Put your foot on his hip. So it was just funny to watch those little adjustments. And then I'd look over and see O'Dell's face, and he'd be like,
that's the hardest part about being a parent is disconnecting yourself from your kids. You have to disconnect yourself and trust the professionals at this. As a parent, you just want to holler and over-involve yourself, especially during competition. Oh, my God. I got to take a heart pill afterwards.
Seriously. It is.
I didn't know I was that mom. But it was one of their first fight nights. It wasn't even a competition. And Allie did something, and I jumped up, knocked my chair back, and I was like, oh, my gosh. I looked at Cory, I said, what just happened? I did not know that I was that person. But every competition they have, I'm literally behind Allie, I just can't breathe. I'm trying to, will her body to move. And, and then if you're tired, sometimes you say the wrong thing, but their last competition, I kept trying to tell them to break the guard, and I kept saying break the legs. So then I sounded like a real psycho mom. But it's so wonderful to see their strength, but as a parent, it's really hard to let them go and grow in that way.
Yeah.
And as a student, we feel it. We feel it. When we're defeated, I know it's hard sometimes for parents to hide it, but we also see it. When I lost state, it wasn't even the fact that I had lost it. I was like, gosh, we had talked about this. I was gonna go out and win, and I just felt like I disappointed my coaches and my parents. And then it really, after competing for so long, and my dad had just sat down and talked to me because I just was not doing well in my wrestling season. He was like, as long as you try, meaning you just go out there and give it your all, I'm proud of you. And that changed my perspective of jiu-jitsu and everything I do. As long as I'm out there trying, I don't care if I get folded up and ragdolled, like, you know, which did happen to me at IBJJF. But it's just like I went out there and I tried it, and he was proud of me. And now, of course, he was like, now, a couple days after, he was like, we got to work on that. But, you know, he was proud of me in the moment.
Yeah, that's what we've always told our kids. Just as long as you're trying, as long as you're out there, then we're happy. And I always tell Allie all the time, I was more proud of her in that competition where she lost all the matches than I was of any of her wins, because that winning is easy. That's the good part. You know, losing with grace, and that's hard. And I really think that's one of the really good things that jiu-jitsu will teach you, because it'll humble you quick.
Yeah. I agree with you that as a parent. I think one of the things we get out of it when our kid does lose is you do see some character, some mettle that you didn't know they had. And that victory in itself is, you know, that's a victory for us. Wow, my kid's tough. Oh, my God. Like the PANs, you know. I'm sure your kids volunteered to go. I certainly, you know, didn't say, John, do you want to do this? John came to me and said, hey, I want to do this. And that makes a difference because all of this stuff is his motivation and my support. And whether win, lose, or draw, I'm super proud of the guy because of the work that he put in to get to where he's at. And as a grandparent, I couldn't ask for more, you know.
Yeah. And these guys are working. So Micah gave me the look, so I have to say it. So where are these guys training at? What are they doing? Where are they getting ready for PANs? Here at Henzo Gracie Clarksville. If you're in the Clarksville, Montgomery County area, can tell you right now, you can't find a better place to come and train. We offer Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, wrestling, Judo, boxing, Muay Thai, strength and conditioning, as well as the fact that all the stuff is happening up under the same roof simultaneously. All right, we set up our different programs to help you overall. We also have Dr. Tamika Duncan, Vitality Sport and Rehab, that's in-house. So we're thinking about, once again, preventive. And if you do get hurt, we got a way to get that managed, as well as getting you where you need to be. So if you're in this area and you're looking for a great place to train, I recommend that you come by and try us. The first 3 are on me. All right, that's how these guys came to be. And we have a wonderful staff, and they would love to take care of you. We're friendly and professional, and we're tough. All right, so nothing is given. If you want to come in here, you can earn it. And that's the other part. When talking about all these guys, I've watched them grow and mature. Nothing given. Liam, the day he was sick, like, and it's breaking my eye. And yes, as I've gotten older, I'm a little bit softer now. She laughs. She's like, "You're so soft. You never soft done me like that." And I kept telling him, I'm looking at his face, and I'm like, "You don't have to fight. He can sit down." And he's like, Liam just looks up at me, "I'll go, coach." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"You go." And I'm like looking at this little kid, and I'm like, "I'll kick you if you hurt my man." I'm like, "That's my dude." So it was rough, but he did very well, and it was rough. So we represented very well that day. We took, 12, 18 kids?
Yeah, just about.
We took 12 and 18 kids. Out of the however many kids we went, all of them got a sword except one. And that was little Liam. And he was devastated. And it wasn't his fault. He was sick. So I was like, "Man, I'm going to give you a sword." And he's like, "What?" So I was like, "It's a loaner. So as soon as you win one, you give me mine back." Yeah, that's where your sword went.
Thank you.
Liam.
It was either that or my 7-year-old brother. So
I loaned it to Liam. He'll give it back to you probably at the end of the year when he does Naga.
He keeps it on his dresser and looks at it every day.
you know, it sounds like he's a good kid. It has a good home for right now.
Yeah, it meant the world to him. It really did. Like, he almost got emotional. A 7-year-old kid doing that.
He told me I expired, coach. I said, "You inspired, coach."
He did. I'm not even gonna lie. I watched him in that performance, and then not too far after that is when we went to the Nashville Open, and I'd had some respiratory stuff, and they're like, "Dude, if you're sick, don't compete." I said, "Man, trust me. Everybody who gets in front of me is gonna get worked." I was like, I said, "My man went out there and threw up afterwards." I said, "If this 7-year-old can go out there and get my dusty butt out there and go do work." And I told him that too. I said, "Hey, I got this gold medal because of you." And he was just, I was like, "Yeah." I said, "No." So they do. They inspire me to train hard. They inspire me to continue to move forward and do the best that I can. And it's all around. That's the other thing. that I like to tell people. So when people ask me, what's a sign of a good school? I said inspiration goes up and it goes down. And they're like, what does that mean? I was like, if the instructors or the adults aren't being inspired by the children and vice versa, it's not a good situation. And a lot of people don't get that. And I was like, you can tell when it's a mutual agreement. When I'm going to fight harder because of you, you're fighting harder because of me, that's a good situation to be in. Not because I'm telling you to, but because you see someone that makes you want to go forward, that makes you want to push. That's when you're in a good training environment. I think we cultivate that here. But that being said, and we kind of touched on it a little bit, well, I'm going to actually start with you. Between wrestling and jiu-jitsu, how has that benefit you in school and college and all that good stuff? And about to go to law school. I can brag on you.
So starting when I first decided that I was going to do wrestling, which was in 2014, I was still a chunky kid, but I was a chunky kid where you could tell, like, I did not work out. Like, you can say, like, what's the meme? Like, you can work out, but you don't say no to a cookie. That's me now. But, like, then it was like, I did not work out. And so when I decided to do it, and I was like, no, I'm going to push myself. It gave me a lot of self-confidence, a lot of self-awareness, just being this girl that, like, society was saying, like, you're not attractive, and just going through wrestling and jiu-jitsu and being like, well, I don't have to be attractive because I'm strong, you know? Like, I'm going to beat up on all the boys anyway. So it gave me the skills I needed to just calm down and focus and be a good leader. I ended up being my wrestling team's captain for my junior year. Like you said, I qualified every year. And knowing
Girl
that
State.
Yes, I also got accepted to Girl State and stuff. And I also made the all-state team or something. And then just knowing that wrestling was a priority for me, it helped me to organize my schedule. Like being like, okay, well, I'm going to go to wrestling practice. I know I'm going to be tired. I know it's a hard day. It's Friday. Actually, Friday fight days came from wrestling. He used to come and watch my wrestling. That's why we have Friday fight days. Friday, I knew I was going to get beat up. If I had a project due on Monday, I knew I had to schedule it in, which has helped me get on the honor roll for schools, get on the dean's list at my, I just graduated from MTSU, and then to go to law school. It just helped me prioritize my stuff. And I've been a manager for the last 3 years in Murfreesboro for different companies. So it gave me self-confidence to let me know that no matter what, just because I'm a female or anything, that I could do this because I do wrestling, I do jiu-jitsu, I hang with the best of them, you know? So I think, and I used to help when we were such a smaller, before we were Gracie Baja, before we were Henzo, we were like Clarksville Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Academy. And I used to help with the kids class. And that was something that used to inspire me, is watching them grow and be confident. If they just flipped a kid they didn't think they could do. So it's just really just those simple things that have helped me to grow into this person. And I think it's helping them because wrestlers, jiu-jitsu people, they're the most chill people because we go kill ourselves in practice. So seeing these kids that were like, oh, they have behavioral issues, calm down because they just needed an outlet, it's amazing to me. And that was me. I just needed an outlet. I just needed to get in shape and I can take on the world. So
can I add something to that? Having a daughter go into this, I so appreciate you people who have started it and show them that they can do this, they can be a girl, and they can still be tough, and they can still be strong. Allie, when we first started, was, too scared to talk to people. She was glued to Liam, and now she bosses people around. She says, you get behind me because I want to fight with you. And, and it really, I feel like it opened that door for her to feel like she could be strong, and she knows she's strong. And being someone who isn't in it, it's something as a mother I really appreciate that she has those role models that kind of pull her up and show her that if I can do it, you can do it, and I know that means a lot to her too. Yeah. So thank you for putting the time in because I know that it's your sport, but it kind of falls out to everyone.
Absolutely. And it is not gonna lie, jiu-jitsu is a boys club, but actually getting there, and you can tell, again, he says like the children make it, it's a good school. The women also make it a good school. If you see that there's a lot of girls and they feel comfortable to hang with the best of them, it's a great school. So I appreciate my dad for going to wrestling practice with me, watching me and encouraging that good atmosphere here, because I grew a lot. Mm-hmm.
I know my grandson's certainly been dusted by a few girls.
Oh, yeah, especially so. And when we talk about the women, I've always been instilling like big on our women's team, big on pushing the self-defense aspect. Always big trademark of the school here is we're like people like, you're a top-heavy school. I'm like, yeah, we're self-defense first. Competitions are great, and we will talk about it. We are going to go compete. And even when I'm telling these guys, I'm like, well, if you're winning positions, that means you're in a position to win. So that means that if it's self-defense, you're somewhere where you should be safe, or you're in a control or a dominant position. So I'm always thinking about that. I actually had comp class today. Professor Andrew pointed out to some people who asked a question. I'm like, well, what about takedowns? And what about this? And a young lady is like, well, I can't take these guys down. He's like, yeah, you can and you should. Because the person that's going to attack you isn't going to come in and wait for you to get situated or sit down and say, okay, we'll fight from this position. You have to know you have a skill set to take them down. That was the other reason why when she told me wrestling, I got very excited about it, because I wanted her to have the confidence within herself to know that if a dude comes to this door, I'm going to put him on his butt, right? And once I get my hands around his neck, he's going to sleep, or she'll sit on his chest. She's rough, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm fine with that. I'm very happy with that. Every woman that comes to that door, that's how I train them. They're like, well, I can't fight you. I said, you can't right now, but that's the whole point of walking through that door. It's like, in a fight doesn't mean you have to beat me up. You just have to outlast most people. And that's another concept a lot of people forget. A fight can be 30 seconds or it can be 30 minutes. It's whoever's in better shape. And once you're tired, that makes a slave of us all. So there's different aspects and mental aspects of it. And what I love now is as the kids are progressing and they're getting older, they're starting to see it. Especially as we make conditioning a priority for them, that our kids last longer, they're finding that out. Like, all I got to do is just keep moving, and as soon as this guy's tired, I always tell him, you listen for my favorite sound. That's when my shark fin comes out. And then I got you. And so I get, like I said, it's amazing to me to watch and see it. Go ahead.
Can I just add something? I was 16, 17 when it finally clicked to me that I could train with the boys. We're by a base, so when we were down the street and we had a lot more influx of young army men, and I will never forget. It was just a day I came in very goofy, bopping around, and they were like, "Jada, go with him." And he tried to kill me. No, this was like a 22-year-old army man, and I was 16, 17, and there was some ego there. I remember I literally got on his back and I choked the mess out of him, and people had stopped what they were doing and was watching me like, "Don't let go, Jada, don't let go." And that man's face turned red because he didn't want to tap. And the bell rang, lucky for him, because I was not letting go. But then when I got up and like everybody was cheering for me, it clicked to me like, I can do this. I can hang with them. And like, it was just, again, training from 14 up and now. And I was in the teenagers class and I was with the adults, and like, it was just something that clicked in me. And at that point, my dad also saw it, and he was like, yeah, she's going to be this person. So. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that stamina thing is the truth. You know, when John was younger, we used to roll. We had this thing, we rolled 3 5-minute rounds. You know, obviously I'm older, bigger, stronger. So the first 2 5-minute rounds, you know, I would just fatigue him. Well, now it's reversed. You know, now I last 1 round and he picks up the pace the last 2 rounds, and I pay the piper. You know, I'll end up tapping or just get exhausted. And his physical conditioning is just, I can't hang with this.
They are stupid strong. Yeah. Just stupid strong. Allie always gives me a hug, and then she tries to, what did I say it was? Uchigari? I don't know. She always wraps her leg around me, and when she first started, I was like, it's annoying, stop. And now I'm like, okay, can you please not knock me over? Like, you know, so she's just gotten so strong. It's wild.
They're crazy. So we kind of talked about it. O'Dell actually went a step further, and he asked Jonathan, what he got out of it. So do you mind sharing it?
No, not at all. I went and asked my grandson specifically, what did he get out of this? And when I texted him, he answered back fairly quick. Let me slap my glasses on here so I can see what he says again. And I asked him, I says, hey, can you tell me at least 4 things the BJJ has changed in you since starting it? And he immediately replied, stress relief, new friendships, more discipline, self-protection, more patience, and I'm able to learn and listen. And what more could you ask out of any kind of sport, out of any kind of activity that you're going to involve your kids, grandkids, whatever in? As far as I'm concerned, I'm at my end state now. I just got to keep maintaining, and watch his activity grow, his career, or however he views it. I know that he does have a long-term goal in mind for jiu-jitsu. His end state is to own his own studio. I mean, if that's his motivation, I'm here to support it,
That's awesome. I got an app for that too, so we'll talk. But listen to 13, right?
Yeah.
That's a 13-year-old's answer. There's some 20-something-year-olds that couldn't give you that information. I know because I've trained some as a soldier, as an NCO, and then working administratively, working with nurses and MAs, asking them, hey, what could you do? Where do you want to go? Where do you see yourself? And watch people be tongue-tied. But that's a 13-year-old who gave a very clear, concise answer. So that's amazing. Now, young lady, bullet points. What'd you get out of it?
I think I already talked about it, but like self-confidence, self-awareness, just believing that I could defend myself, like organization, prioritizing things, just... Okay, I'm done.
And you guys, what have you seen, and what would your kids say if we would ask them that?
Well, I would say definitely the confidence, especially with Allie. And
Yeah,
it was almost immediate because when we came back from I think it was the first or second time, it was just the homeschool class.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's mine. We bought a coloring book from here, and it had all the different things.
Oh yeah,
and
I gotta bring those back.
We were sitting there, and Theresa was messing with her a little bit, and she goes, "Mom, do you want me to armbar you?" not knowing even how to spell
you don't know what
armbar.
that is.
And and it's watching it grow through on the mats as well. I remember it. There's 2 distinct times. Is one, she was going to go with one of the kids that had a little more experience, and he goes, "No, I want a challenge," and she took that to heart. So the next time he was forced to go with her, she went extra hard. And there's another one that you did that another kid who had been around for a while kind of smirked when she was coming up to him, and you said, "Okay, she's going to give you what you can handle," and she did. And there was a time that because they'd been here for so long, or they were a bigger belt than her, she would kind of almost defeat herself before she even go in there. And she's finally starting to get to understand and have faith in what she's doing and the hard work she's putting in, and that it's not necessarily that they're better than me. It's that they've just been doing it longer, and I can still push them and go hard. And there's one particular kid that she does lessons with that when they first started, he was kind of manhandling her, and now it's a little bit more of an even match. And it's just seeing that confidence in her that she has in her abilities has been great. It's been really awesome to see it.
And it's even beyond the mat. Like I said, Liam's the boy's always confident, but
Yes.
So Allie was always kind of timid. She's really a leader, but she is slow to get there to believe that she can do it. And I come from a huge family, and she's got all of these cousins, and she kind of used to go and be a follower. And now when we go there, and all of my brothers give them a hard time, and they give it right back now. They'll put them in a Kimura or whatever, but it was to the point they'll just say, "Don't do that or I will," and we were there for Thanksgiving, and I said, "Do not crucifix your cousin, just stop," but they feel it outside of this. There was a time I had to go to an appointment, and Cory was still sleeping, and I had to take Liam, and I asked Allie, "Are you going to be okay if I leave you here? Dad's right there." And she's like, yeah, I'm fine. And Liam goes, "Mom, she's 9 years old and she knows jiu-jitsu. She can take any man." And I was like, okay, but she just nodded her head. And I'm like, all right, if that's how you guys feel, it's not true. But, I want you to be careful.
Well,
but it does make them feel like they can do anything, and I think that's invaluable for them outside of this gym, you know. And the other thing I feel like, and this is, I think, because I come from a big family, but the community that they get out of this has been just so wonderful. We homeschool, so we don't do a lot of being out and, you know, PTO, whatever. But they come in, and I remember the first time it happened, I was kind of like, oh, this is kind of nice. Like, everyone we walked in, hey, Allie, hey, Liam, you know, and now they, you know, want to spend holidays together, and they're, you know, so close to each other. And I think some of it comes from the camaraderie of working hard together and being next to that person when they just don't have that sprint left in them and they don't feel like they can do it. But the other part of it to me is even from the adults, like they love Coach Brenna and Coach AJ. They're like their favorites. Liam used to try and match him every Thursday so they could be twins. But I think that they have become so close to them that this is kind of like a second home for them. I mean, we're here all the time, but really it's that comfort that they feel with everyone. They feel safe, they feel cherished. And that to me is so wonderful because I love coming in. I love being around all the kids climbing on me and stuff because that's like home to me. But it's been so great to see them grow in that. And, you know, Allie now is seeking out new people to invite them in and help them feel welcome, which was not my child a year ago. So it's been really fun to see them grow that relationship and make this feel like such a tight-knit community for them. And it really does. I mean, I remember, was it the first one where the guy was cheering for her and he didn't know her name?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, he was just cheering for the other girl, you know, go Emma, and it's Allie, like, you know. But they just, and then one of her friends' dads was there and he's cheering her on. And then when she had that really tough loss, they had her in a
she was in a triangle for quite a while.
And she
never
held
tapped,
there. And Coach Brenna was on the side and she got up and she just kind of, I mean, she fell apart a little bit. But it meant so much to her that Brenna and AJ were right on the sideline saying, you're doing so good. Like, I know it's hard, but you've got this. And they do. I mean, when she was here last time, Allie was like, Mom, why did you not tell me Coach Brenna was going to be there? And I'm like, I don't have her personal calendar. I didn't know she was going to be there, but they mean so much to them. And that's very special for me.
That's awesome. Brenna's another. So Brenna is a brown belt in Jiu-Jitsu and a black belt in Judo, as well as she's finishing up veterinary school. And she was another one of our young student athletes who started with us when she was around 11, 12. And then saw her all the way up through middle and high school, then off to college, now in finishing up grad school, much like Jada. I think they're separated by 2 years, somewhere in that. And same with AJ. So it's cool to watch. I watched all these so-called cool teenagers become
responsible adults.
Well, responsible adults. Yeah. But it's so crazy to me to see all these great things. With Miss Allie being a leader, the other day I had to get on her and a couple of her friends and made them do burpees because they weren't paying attention. And afterwards, she came up, apologized for the group, and said, "I'll make sure we don't do it again." And I was like, "Okay, I trust you." And she went back and fixed the other two. So that was kind of awesome to see. We're good? All right, cool beans. All right. So now, just kind of jokingly, not jokingly, some of the bad things that we've seen. We've seen some bad parents. We've seen some bad calls. So this is kind of our, hey, if you get your kid involved, please don't do this. So one of the things that I would say as a coach with parents, your kids will get their stripes, they will get their promotions, they will get them on time and when they're coming. Do not ever ask for the stripe or the promotion, right? Same thing we tell adults, but same thing. Don't advocate for your child. We haven't forgotten them. We're going to make sure that they get them promoted. And sometimes we'll hold a stripe or whatever because of attitude or what they're doing or they're not doing. Just because a kid shows up, like, we're not that place where you show up at the end of the month, I'm going to give you a stripe. These guys can kind of attest. At the end of the month on Wednesdays and Thursdays, the extra 40, 30.
Yes.
Everybody shows up.
Like, haven't seen you in a month. Yeah, we came here for the stripe. Yeah, guess what?
It ain't you.
You ain't getting one. So that's one of those things.
But that's a good lesson for them to have. You know, I think that we're kind of in a world now where we get what we want when we want it. And I think it's good for them to see that, you know, I don't just show up and, you know, get my gold star. I've got to show you that I've put in the work and I'm going to do it. And I think that, and it's a nice thing to have in your back pocket, be like, I'm going to tell Coach James when you're not listening because you won't get your stripe. Not that, you know, we have to do that too much, but I think that they need to learn I put in hard work to have the consequences that I want to see. And, you know, whether that's good or bad, you see what you do and you see what it brings.
No. So what's some other good advice we can give the new parent?
For me, the best advice I can give is trust the staff. It's hard to let your kid go. It's hard to let your kid get choked. It's hard to, you know, to go through it all. But at the same token, it's absolutely amazing to watch your kid choke someone else. It's amazing to watch your kid because you see them grow. You see that confidence grow. I remember my grandson. We had a particular kid here. I give them all nicknames, and this kid I called him Tough Owen because he was absolutely devastating on the mat. So I would tell my grandson, hey, you really need to roll with him, and he didn't want to because it hurt. But one day he submitted him, and Tough Owen didn't want to roll with him anymore. And that growth, that explosion of, well, this stuff works.
Yeah, I know. It's wild.
It was a great thing to see. And as a parent, I think you just got to have faith in the process. It's a slow process, but have faith in the process, and you'll get your end states.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. As a student, again, talking about stripes and stuff, if you feel that you were being passed up or you've put in the work, because before we were Henzo Gracie and we've had issues and I felt like I was passed up from a prior instructor that's no longer here with us, I talked to them and I said, what am I doing? What do I need to do? And then the blue belt books and purple belt books came along. It's like, so everyone has a standard of when you're going to get promoted and if you can accomplish this. So like, if you think that you need to be promoted, ask in a respectful way and just be like, hey, like, you promoted this person and I just think that we're either on the same level or I'm a little bit better. Because not all schools are perfect. This was pretty close, I think, but it does happen. Some instructors do have favoritism and they pass up people. And as a student, as a parent, always ask in a respectful manner, not like, hey, I think they deserve a stripe, but hey, what do they need to do? Because I will say when I first started off, my attitude was the reason why I was one of the last people to get a stripe. But then when I
totally agree.
But then when some other people joined on and they got their blue belt before me, it was disrespectful to me and I asked and I was like, hey, but then, you take it as a loss and you focus up and I think I'm a better blue belt now than what I would have been if I got promoted then.
Well, I'll say one of the things that I like when we first got here, like you said, it was Stripe Day, and if you're there, you pretty much kind of got it. And you guys instituted a change where they actually started doing testing and showing what you can do. And it was funny because that first time, the first week or the first month that you guys did it, the group that I was watching, I think 2 maybe got stripes and like 4 or 5 did not. And you could see in their little faces they were used to getting them. But I saw the next time, 1, they were there more often, and 2, they were paying more attention than they did before because now they realize I can't just show up. I actually have to know this stuff. And I thought it was an excellent change in how you guys did things. And I saw immediate results, hands down.
Yeah. And that's why I did it because, I'm sitting there and kind of like I was saying nicknames. I, go to it's Stripe Day and all of a sudden there's little Georgie and Edna and all these other people who I hadn't seen you in a month, and now you're here and you're holding your belt out, and mom and dad sitting there with the camera, and I was like, no, and they're like, what? I said, we're not doing that. I was like, there's some schools down the street, around the corner. If you just want to pay money and they're going to give you a stripe and a belt, feel free to go there, feel good about what you're doing. My job is to make sure that I always say that my kids don't get beat up in the parking lot or they don't get beat up in the bathroom. I know that if you're coming in training, then I'm confident in your jiu-jitsu and that, that you can perform when you need to. Showing up once a month to get a stripe or, and then finally getting a belt and going somewhere and saying, hey, I can do this and you can't, that's a reflection on me as a coach and I'm not going to have it. The other part is, as a parent, like when I would go to wrestling practice with her, I didn't get upset because of the work she didn't do. And a lot of people miss that, so that's the nugget. I was there to see the work she put in, so I knew what she was capable of. And that's what I based my conversation off and my belief and my faith. I even told her, I said, if you weren't doing the work, I wouldn't be here behind you putting it in, but I also wouldn't believe that you could do as much as you could do because I'm watching what you're doing. I'm watching you move, could barely do 2 push-ups, now you do 4. No. But the running, and she's like, hey, Dad, let's go train. And that was amazing to me because it'd be before I'm like, hey, Jada, you want to go run? She's like, no. Now she's coming to me like, hey, I want to go train because I plan on winning. I'm like, well, let's go win. Let's go do it. But that also motivated me. So, good. I thought you were about to say. So those things. But for me, the big thing about the test once we moved to doing the monthly test is I also watch the parents. Not just the kids. I watched the parents. When I said that, parents was like,
get it together.
Yeah, get it together.
Yep.
You're going to be there because you better learn this stuff. So that was kind of funny for me. So I appreciated that.
No, that was good.
And he does base a lot of what he does off of our interactions. When I didn't get my blue belt, he was devastated. I was shocked because someone I feel like, shouldn't have got it before me. And again, we all moved at our own pace. But he changed how he was going to do stuff, and then he watches me, he watches my brother, he watches these kids and how they interact, and he changes it for everybody to be equal because you know what you have to work for. So he's never one to give you anything. He has gotten softer, but he still does not give anything. You have to earn it, and I think that's a big lesson for me and the kids to have. It's just when you get something and it's not handed to you, you are way prouder than when it's just like, oh, I just handed this to you because you showed up. It's like, no, you worked for it. That one stripe, even if you just got one stripe, they're like, you worked for it, Yeah,
I have to agree with that. John one day told me one of his younger peers got promoted, and they were so confident and cocky about the new promotion. He said, I felt I had to let him know that, well, since you got a new belt, it gets a lot harder. So I rolled him up a little bit harder. Or Aiden Panda, when he would get promoted, his dad would make him go through the gauntlet. And I think that's great for the kids to learn. It is not handed to you. You earned this, and it's a beautiful thing to watch.
Oh, yeah. And same with the adults. I always laugh. The last promotion, we had a whole bunch of new blue belts, and they're like, why did you do that to me? I'm like, you're a blue belt now.
Yeah.
Like, but yesterday I was a white belt. He said, welcome to the new rank. Things get harder as you grow. Same with school. Right? You level up in school. It's a harder test, so that's such is life. So it's always been fun. So let's talk pants. When are you guys leaving?
Well, we'll leave Wednesday.
All right, Wednesday.
I work Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and we're leaving Wednesday, so it's going to be fun.
We weren't sure what the schedule was until it came out, and obviously their kids are now on Saturday, but we wanted to give them time to kind of rest and not come off of the 10.5-hour drive and then try to compete the next day. That would be not setting them up for success. So, it'll be fun, though. They're excited.
Yeah. Wednesday as well. The same philosophy. Give them time to settle down, and then the next day go out there and get the jitters.
So cool. So I looked at the list. I think it's 14 kids we got going to PANS to compete. PANS is a big one. That's like Master Worlds Worlds for the adults. Kids have PANS, and then they have the Nationals. I'm excited. The kids are going to leave out Wednesday, compete throughout the weekend, then come back. Excited about the ones that can come. Then we'll have the follow-up show. We're going to have the kids actually on. So I wanted to talk to the parents this time so they can get their perspective, and I promised the kids, since we've been doing the podcast, and it's always been funny, the kids hit me on the corner. They're like, when are we going to be on the show? I'm like, well, I'm going to get you guys on. Wait for you guys to come back from PANs, win, lose, or draw. We're going to talk about that experience. So a couple of podcasts we were forecasting, then you guys know you want to look out for them. We're going to do the follow-up with Dr. Tamika Duncan and all of them. Then we're going to follow up with the kids. All right, so probably 2 weeks from now, talking about how they did in PANs, what their experience was, how they feel about competing, how their parents acted at the competition. So I'm going to ask all the good questions, how much candy they ate before they went out on the mats, and all that good stuff. That's a question. You guys have any problems with the kids as far as nutrition, sleep, or any of that stuff now? Or are they taking it a lot more serious?
John's a teenager. I'm doing the best I can.
No,
Our kids are weird.
yeah, I mean, they like salads and all that stuff, and especially on Tuesdays and Thursdays, they are out quick because those 2-hour classes wear them out.
I will say, if they don't come in, like when we had the break for 4th of July, we were like, can you guys please go outside? Like, it was,
if they don't have the jiu-jitsu now.
Something.
She was always pretty good about, but even now, like, I'm laughing because by the time we finish wrapping this up and we get to the house, she's going to bed.
I'm going to bed.
And I always laugh. I was like, you are the oldest young lady I've ever met. Never, her brother, totally off the chain. He will stay up to 2 a.m. doing nothing, just looking at the walls if you let him. This one, around 8:30, she's shutting it down. So that was always cool.
I mean, again, that's just something like jiu-jitsu, because I used to do the morning classes with him. You got to prioritize stuff. Again, before I did wrestling, I did not eat well. Now I'm like, okay, I need to sneak a vegetable in. Like, I need to do something. So it's just, again, honestly, I'm so amazed when these young kids do it and like their parents are just like giving them free range to like make these choices, because it's things that they don't say thank you now, but they will. And I'm going to say thank you for bringing them in and stuff like that. But these are lessons that they're going to learn and be like, well, like, you can trust that if you were to like leave them alone in a house for 2 hours, let's say, not 2 days, but like a day or so, they're going to be like, okay, I need to do this. I need to do that. I need to eat. I need, and so it's just lessons they keep throughout their life. So.
Awesome. All right. About to wrap this thing up. Once again, well, started at this end, so I'm going to start at this end. Anything you want to say? Comments, shouts, whatever?
Yeah, for the last 5 years, we've been extremely happy with the school. I mean, like you said, it's familial. It's a family relationship. All John's friends all come from here. Thanks.
Thank you.
Kids are actually so resilient and amazing, and if you're not wanting to help with the kids' classes, you're missing out. They will inspire you and encourage you, and just, it's amazing. You should help out.
I'm glad she said that. Purple belts and above, help with the kids' classes.
And they will love you for it. With all of our kids' coaches, they have such a personal connection with them. Even Coach Jace, when they got their gray-white belts, he was gone already, and they said he would have been so proud of us. Like, they just feel that connection with them, and it's such a great relationship. I think both ways. I mean, our kids are goofy, but like, I think that it's fun to be looking for that person and be pushed to do that. Like I said, Brenna is like Allie's hero, but I love that they have that extra example in their life, and somebody to look up to that, is different and, in some ways better than me, what they do. So that Allie gets to be way better than me, and and then Liam's Liam. But like, it just, I look at Allie and Liam and I'm like, I could not do what they're doing when I was their age. I would have been probably clawing at somebody, or I wouldn't have that, or I didn't have that discipline. And I think it's always so fun to see just how great they are and how much they're benefiting from this. It definitely makes being here all the time worth it.
I would say, and it's something I actually spoken to Mr. O'Dell with before, one of the things I think has made the kids' class so great is the attitudes of the older kids in the class. And I came to him specifically to talk to him because there was a time when Allie was going to roll with Jonathan, and obviously Jonathan could throw her around if he really wanted to, or lock her up in submissions, but instead he was patient. He was walking her through what she was doing wrong and talking to her the whole time. And you got kids like Jace, who's also just one of the favorites of all the kids, but he's they take the time to teach them how to do right, and they encourage them. And sometimes you see older kids that aren't willing to do that, and so that's, I think, has made them a lot more personable with them. Is just having that confidence that these older kids that could toss them around are helping there, and not to bully them or something. And that's something that I thought was really great, and that's why I went and talked to him about it, because Jonathan's just a good kid.
Oh, he is. He's really
just
good.
he helps everybody, and
He's an amazing kid.
and I think too that because at 13, you're starting to get into a teenage, like you said, and you get ego. You get angry, and he doesn't have that. He's willing to check that to help everybody else around him, and that's
he does.
Oh yeah. Well, I guess what I mean is, there's some people that would go in there and would throw those little ones around just because they could.
That was their first competition class. I don't even know who this kid was. He had a green belt. But Liam was so proud of himself because they had to go to each person. And he walked up to this green belt and he just kind of looked at me like, what am I going to do? And I look over and the green belt's like, this way, this way. And he's like talking him through it. And of course, Liam submitted him and he looked at me like, Mom, like, look at what I did. And he's pushed himself since,
Yeah, it's Aiden. He's a great kid. So we're going to wrap it up, but I kind of want to give a shout out to the coaching staff. Our head instructor, Professor Andrew Hansen. I'm one of the kids' coaches. We also have Coach Valentino and Coach Travis. We have our assistants that help us out all the time, Coach Jay. Now we've got, oh man, he's going to kill me. I always forget his name.
I said you just old. You forget
I am old.
Travis?
No, I already said
Oh,
Travis.
he did.
Chad's been helping.
Yeah, Chad does help a lot. I don't know.
Zach Forster.
Oh, okay.
All right, there you go. See, give me a shout out. Remember, and then big Coach Chad Camp helps us out quite a bit when his boys out there. Coach Kelly, who has helped us for quite some time because his boys are out there. So just saying thank you to all the people who have come out to help us and put up the numbers and work with the kids. And once again, I always tell them, especially if you're serious about jiu-jitsu, you think you're going to stay in it to be a black belt. If you want to be a coach, you cannot coach unless you're coaching kids. Coaching kids is one of the most vital things about the sport. When we're talking about being an ambassador, you can't be an ambassador until, like with Jonathan, like with Jada, all these things, you take someone and watch them grow up in the sport. That's when you see the truly amazing art as it is. Plus, you have to do it right for the kids to get it right. So it helps you prepare to become a better practitioner by making you a better instructor. So just want to give that shout out to all those people who help us. Coach Brenna as well with Judo, Coach Charlene with Judo, and AJ when he hands in. So we have a great staff. They're here to help us out, to help your kids. Now, once again, if you've got kids between the ages of 3 and 13 and you want to get them in a program, and you're in the Clarksville, Montgomery County area, come by Henzo Gracie Combat Sports and Jiu-Jitsu. Here to tell you that we've got a great staff. We want to see you. We want to help you out. And we want to give you what you need to be, I guess, better in life. All right? I want to thank the parents, my daughter, all you guys for coming out. I thought that was pretty good. Thank you, guys. Nobody fell over the table. All right.
Thanks for having
good
us.
deal. Calvin, we missed you. Get over your class. Yeah, I hope your spleen is better. All right. That's it for us. Good night, guys. Thank you.